And as soon as I started at Storytel, I felt like, okay, this is great because everyone really feels the passion about this project and want to make it better.
I enjoy to work with people from all over the world and also being a part of a company who develops a lot. I develop as a person, but also being a part of development of the whole company. And we're growing and things are happening really fast, and I really like that.
I work at Storytel because of the people working there and the work I do, and also the opportunities to grow in the company.
Because Storytel is a great place to work. I think you'll find amazing colleagues. You'll be at the forefront of spreading stories to people all around the world, and who doesn't love a great story?
Hi everyone, I'm so happy to see so many of you and showing interest in our breakout session today. I'm Sophie and I work in the talent team here at Storytel. In this session, we have chosen to give you a glimpse of how we build remote teams and our own stories across a product company. You will learn how to bridge physical distance and organizational divisions to unite people and facilitate successful remote work. After our presentation, we will have a Q&A session in another breakout room. Our speakers today are Josephine, she's the Global Digital Growth Manager, together with Natasha, who is the Head of Product Design, which will also be a part of our panel today. We have Signe, and she's the Tech Manager, also part of the panel, together with Emma, who is the Tech Crew Coach. And that's shortly our story. So now I will hand over to you, Natasha.
Hi, everyone. I'm Natasha Helén, and I'm Head of Product Design at Storytel. And this is the story of how I built a product design organization at Storytel during the pandemic. I got on board in August last year, and at that time, there were 12 UX and UI designers who worked autonomously in product teams. And there was no formal organization or overall structure around product design. And my role was new, so I had to define my role and find my place at Storytel. Fast forward to now. We are now 24 designers within different disciplines. We have a fully distributed team in 6 cities, 4 Swedish cities, Copenhagen and Paris. And it's a diverse team of many nationalities, languages, and cultures. We have a number of design forums up and running. We have weekly design meetings. We do regular design reviews. We have a user research forum. We have a forum for UX and UI designers. We met for Friday lunch once a month. And we have a service design forum. We are also building a design system for Storytel. We are running a customer journey project. We have an accessibility initiative, and we are building a design methodology playbook. And this all happened within half a year. And during this time, we also made an organizational change and put product design on the org chart. At this time, we also hired and onboarded several UX and UI designers, and we did all of this remotely. So how did I do it? I had multiple design positions before coming to Storytel and also design leadership positions, but I had absolutely no experience of product companies. So I was quite overwhelmed. It was a completely new landscape to me. I also studied remotely, which made it even more difficult to make sense of everything. And with my design background and experience, it was fairly easy to identify what we needed to do on the design side. And I did it in the first weeks and months. But how to do it was a whole different story. So the first step was a lot about listening. I started with designers and I talked to them and listened to their experience of being with Storytel, how things worked and what was missing, and asked a lot of questions. I listened very carefully to their motivations because I knew that whatever I was setting out to do, they would be key people in making that happen. So I was building relationships with designers and establishing trust there. And I also had conversations with a lot of other stakeholders at the company. And these conversations helped me figure out a lot of things that helped me define the way forward for the design organization that we were about to put in place. And the next step was about building the team. I found out that even people who already were with Storytel when I joined, didn't know each other very well because they worked in different teams and there was no team feeling. So some people were reluctant to share their work, show their work and share. And at the same time, they really wanted to have a strong design team with a great and collaborative team spirit. So we started defining ourselves as a team. We did some team building activities during autumn, where we got to know each other better on a personal level. And we also talked through our roadblocks and aspirations and identified together how to overcome them. And we created shared ownership of these challenges and solutions. As a result of these activities, we started setting up a few things. So we started doing Monday check-ins, where everyone was sharing what they were about to focus on that week. We started doing regular design reviews, and we established a number of Slack channels where people could communicate around different design issues and initiatives. And by Christmas, we were in a different place. Designers were telling me that we felt much more like a team. And now it was time to get some work done. Because we had identified the overall direction and our priorities together, and designers knew that they had an important role to play here on an individual level. And the magic thing happened. A lot of designers stepped up and took ownership of different design initiatives. This allowed us to launch a few projects and get them up to speed. So now we are building a design system, we're working with the customer journey, we work with accessibility and a few other things. And I feel that we made some real progress towards a design organization with a great team spirit, where people have exchange on multiple levels, professionally and personally, and enhance each other's work and growth. And this is just the beginning of this journey. We have grown a lot as a team, which entails new challenges of coordination and streamlining our ways of working, and also ensuring consistency in what we deliver. And we have a new phase as a team in front of us now, and we will have to redefine things along the way. But now I learned that if you do it from a place of trust and shared ownership, you will be set for success. And that was my story.
Thank you, Natasha. So my challenge was a little bit different. So I'm going to tell you about how I built a cross-functional experimentation team. I had to do this to create this team with no managerial mandate, and I had to gather people from different functions of the company, and I had to do this during a remote-only setting. And experimentation, by the way, it means that you work in a data-driven way to product development. And this is where I started. It's not personal, it's business. I think that we've all heard this at one point. And with my story, I'd like to scratch that, because I think that in order to have a good business relationship and to build a good team spirit, it actually must be personal, because in essence, it's about trust. And trust is actually a deeply personal matter. I also think that it must be fun. It must be enjoyable to work together to create that special team spirit with your team members. And especially if you don't have the managerial mandate, you really need to get people to want to work with you. So what I did in the beginning was to read this book, Radical Candor by Kim Scott. And I really liked her way of thinking, because the whole thesis in this book is around the theory that in order to be a good leader, you actually must care personally about your team members. But you also need to dare to challenge them directly in order to grow as a team. So it looks like this, according to her. On the vertical axis, you will have care personally. And on the horizontal one, you have challenge directly as a means of communication. And depending on how you act, you will land on different quadrants of this graph. And this is where you want to be, radical candor. And candor means like being open or being honest. So this means that you're being like radically open with your team, but you can only do this if you're also caring about them personally. So this is our team. We grew from being only 2 people working with experimentation to a very strong core team of 3 people with different backgrounds in the company. Later growing to 5 people, and now we're still growing. So how did we create this team spirit? Well, we were being radically candid with each other. But that's easy to say, but how do you actually do it? So first, of course, you need to have the basics of a team. You need to have a vision, you need to have a goal and an overall direction that you can follow. But when you have that, that's when you can start building trust. And we did this by first caring personally about each other. And this doesn't mean that you would like throw all your personal problems at your colleagues. It rather means that you try to get to know them at a human level. And this is what we try to do. So I think in short, it's really about sharing with another what makes us want to get out of bed in the morning and go to work, but also what would have the opposite effect. So the book says a lot of good things regarding this, but I'm going to highlight the 3 main things that worked for us as a team. And first of all, you should schedule one-to-one understanding sessions with your team members to really discover their motivation, their strengths and weaknesses. And that builds the foundation. And then secondly, you use common interests as a way of connecting. And I think that with every person, even though you feel like you're not like each other, you can find that one thing that you actually have in common. So example, for me and one of the team members, we both really liked house music. So we would connect on that and send each other good songs to work with during the day. And then thirdly, since it's all remote, you don't have these coffee chats by the coffee machine. So in order to keep this alive, we created a social channel dedicated only for sharing like fun and random things with each other. And then we had one channel for business. And then when you have the foundation of caring personally, that's when you can start challenging directly. And this is so important for trust because this shows that you care enough about your team members to actually point out things that aren't going well. Example, if you would meet like one of your good friends in the city center and she would be going to an interview and she would have like a big leaf from her lunch, like between her teeth, you would tell her, right? Because that's a good way, even though it's uncomfortable, maybe telling her, it will help her maybe during the interview. And that's the relationship you want with your colleagues as well. So this is our top 3 things that we used to start challenging directly. So first of all, as a leader, you need to tell that you accept and want feedback. So you need to be very honest with that in the beginning and clear. And then secondly, you dedicate sessions for direct feedback. And this is for practice to making it a habit. So if I have a presentation, I would schedule a session and say, this is where I want honest feedback regarding this. And then thirdly, reward the behavior that you want. So if someone is giving you honest feedback, then you should be like, oh, thank you, that's great. I really learn a lot from this. So it becomes a positive spiral. So to sum this up, I just want to say 2 final things, which is that if you want to practice this, then it's really important that you first start caring personally, because that's really the foundation. And then secondly, that's when you can start challenging directly to become a high-performing, growing team. So on behalf of me and my team, we just want to say that we think that you actually should make it personal. You should also make it fun, and you should do it because it's business. And that was all for me. That was my story. And now I would like to move over to the panel. So we're going to talk about this subject with some of our other tech leaders here at Storytel and how they build strong spirit in a remote setting. So I think, should I stop sharing so everyone can be seen? Yes. I will do that. Great. So we will start off with you, Emma. You are a tech crew coach. Super interesting. It's very close to an agile coach for us at Storytel. And you started in this team in a remote only setting. So will you tell us a little bit how that was for you?
Yeah, definitely. Hi, everyone. As Josephine said, my role is a crew coach, and that's basically a mix between being a scrum master and a team lead in one of our development teams. And I actually worked at Storytel before, but as a tech recruiter. So I switched into this role during the pandemic, and I would, of course say it was a challenge not meeting everyone in the team, as I guess it's the same for everyone who started in this remote setting. But also, first of all, building trust and making sure I learned my role and got to know the team and understood how I could make the best out of this new role that I got. I think that was a foundation for me to start building the trust and creating a team spirit as well.
Yeah, it's really challenging coming into something like that remote. But I know that you have great team spirit now in your team. Do you have any like concrete how? Like how did you do that, do you think?
Yeah, I think starting with listening to my crew members or my team members, like what do you expect from me? What can I expect from you? But both on how we work together. How can I make your life easier, which I would say is a part of my role, to remove obstacles for my team members, but also get to know each other. We, of course, have daily stand-ups talking about work, but I think it's as important to talk about other things. What did you do in the weekend? Someone is moving houses, someone is getting a dog or a cat. I think like the personal things, as you were talking about, bringing that into work, I think that creates team spirit, and also try to have fun together. It might sound very basic, but it is very important, I would say.
So important. And since you were remote, like, could you give an example of how you did that, getting to know each other, getting to know each other's cats and dogs and so on in a remote setting?
Yeah, I think that Slack is super important, like sharing fun pictures or GIFs and then picking up on that. And even though stand-up should be 15 minutes, very efficient, I think, okay, we can book some longer stand-ups because we should book the time to actually make it possible to talk about other things. I think that is super important. So that is some basic things, but then also on a higher team level, playing games, having an after work, sharing fun things on Slack between each other.
Very interesting. Thank you for sharing. We're also going to move over to you, Signe. You are a tech manager, so you have a quite large team of developers and designers and crew coaches in your team. So would you like to tell us a little bit how you were faced with the challenge of building this remote team?
Yes, I will, of course. And hello, everybody. My name is Signe. I started in April, so I was actually onboarded myself during COVID-19, and I found it difficult because you don't hear all the unofficial things. You only hear what you learn on meetings. And there's so much more in working in a new organization. So I just knew that it'd take time to get onboarded because I tried it myself. My job was to start up a completely new team on the account area. So I think I've onboarded and hired plus 10 persons. We are now 14. We are from 9 different countries in plus 4 locations. So we are a big team. And even though I think we know each other quite well, I think we have a feeling of we have been meeting, even though we haven't at all. And I think that it was, as you described yourself very beautifully, it was so important to have a safe team. And for me, it was also very important to find a way to make people feel that they could be themselves. Because if you just are your role, we're losing something. We're losing it from an individual perspective, but also from a company and from an economic perspective. Because then people don't dare to say, I have a stupid idea. Maybe would you like to listen? Or people want to tell, oh, I love algorithm. Whatever it is that will make the full effort out of people, that the full potential could be released. So that was very important for me.
And I really like that you say that it's important to be able to be yourself, because I think that's so important in a team. Could you tell us a little bit how did you make that happen? How did you create a space for people to actually be themselves?
First of all, I think it wasn't just me. I think it was a full team. So it's an effort for everybody. So thank you, everybody from the team, for that. I think one thing was that we did some quirky quizzes and games, and mates sent us photos of how we looked like when we were a child, or making drawings, something where we feel a little bit uncomfortable. That's a part of it. And I had a lot of one-on-ones where we also talked about how do you feel in the team? Do you feel that you're a little bit different? Yeah, I do, but that's good because then you can add another perspective to the discussion. So if you would like us to move faster, even though you feel that you're the only one, then you should speak out and say it, because that could benefit the team. So it's a lot about having talks about where do you feel different, how can you contribute, and how can the team contribute from that.
And you have a very diverse team as well. You have many nationalities, so it's really a remote team.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And do you have any what's your future plans for keeping this strength and team spirit?
First of all, just to continue to experiment. We experiment a lot, and I think it's just the way forward is to try out both how to work, what to work with, etc. But I have a private dream, and I don't know if it will be possible and when, but I would love us to introduce and experiment with having 4 working day weeks. I have followed other companies who have done that, and they have actually gained a lot, but also earned even more money actually. So it's not just a benefit. Again, it's not just a benefit for the individual, but also from the company. So it could be so great to have a experiment with how can we work smarter in a way so we only have to work 30 hours a week.
That's amazing. I want to join your team now.
Please do.
Yeah, I live growth. Super interesting. Thank you, Signe. You've done some really great work in your team. And now I was thinking of discussing a little bit with you, Natasha. You had a really good presentation. It's so interesting to follow how you built your journey and how you built your team spirit. So since you already told us a little bit about your story, would you maybe highlight a few technical tools that you feel are important or that helped you? Because I saw that you had some screenshots. Would you tell us a little bit?
Of course. So Emma has already mentioned Slack. The whole company uses it. And for us in product design, it's been a great tool just to structure the conversation around design. So as I told you, we have lots of things going on, a lot of design initiatives, and we have Slack channels connected to them. So people will know where to go. And also this is where we communicate on a day-to-day level, as many other companies do as well. That's where we post inspiration. And that's where designers know that they can get a quick peer review or feedback from others or just ask for help. So I would say that this is our main channel definitely for communication as we are distributed in different cities. And also Miro has been such a great tool for us. And we use it for everything from design reviews to team activities to facilitating different discussions. Up to a certain size of a team, you can have a discussion on Google Meet, for instance, and just take notes. But with a team of over 20 people, you really need tools to make sure that everyone is heard and everyone can express their opinion and come forward. So Miro becomes quite an indispensable tool there. And we rely very heavily on Miro and use it for more and more purposes. And it's fantastic how many applications you find for Miro if you like the tool. They also develop them very quickly. So if you haven't already discovered Miro, I can really recommend it.
Yeah, it's so great. I think it's the one tool that actually made me feel like we're in the room having an actual workshop, even though we're totally online, sitting at different places. So Slack for communication, you said, and then Miro for everything from design reviews, team activities.
Everything else. Yeah, you nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That's super interesting. I think that we will go back a little bit to Emma. Because you actually made a switch quite recently. You were in the HR department before, now you're tech crew coach. Very cool, by the way. But do you have a thought on what organizations can do on a higher level to help this building of teams and team spirit in remote teams?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that in Storytel, one thing we value a lot is our culture, including myself. It's something that really makes me want to work here. And some of the things that we have done on a bigger level is having every other week, we have the whole company meets up together digitally, and we can ask the management team questions and also get introduction to what is happening in the organization and what is happening in local markets and so on. But also, instead of canceling our yearly conference, which is our big 3-day event, where everyone is really looking forward to, we made it digitally and we created a super cool TV show. But then also on a team level, playing games, escape room, having now in April, we're going to have a day for the whole tech department where we're going to meet up, have inspirational talks and some workshops. So I think
meet up online then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everything is online. So I think also we of course going to use Miro, but there is plenty of nice tools out there. And I think finding new ways for now, but also for the future is the key to keep the culture and keep the motivation up. I think it's super important.
Yeah, and you mentioned the conference that we had was totally or fully remote online conference for everyone globally, and that of course helps to get to know other colleagues. You can like, okay, this is a person here that I can maybe talk to later, and so on. Okay, I see that time is running out, and I also see that we got some very interesting questions, but we will actually take those in the Q&A room that we will host after this session. So I think that this was all for the panel right now, and we just want to say that please connect with us if you want to ask something. Like anyone who's in this room now from Storytel, connect on LinkedIn or send us an email regarding a job or how it is to work here or any other question that you're curious about. And yeah, I think that when we close this down, because we will answer your questions, because I see them here, and we will answer them in this other Q&A room. So if I remember correctly, down on your screen right now, to the right, it should be like a red button saying like join discussion or something. I see Sophie saying thumbs up. So that's the right thing. And that's where you can join us for asking all your questions. So we really hope to see you there. And thank you so much for listening.